Why are you an entrepreneur? The trials and triumphs. I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And if you're tuning in regularly, you know the drill. If you're just tuning in for the first time or you're watching the replay, this is where I bring you rock star entrepreneurs every single week to share their journey, give you some inspiration, and really importantly, give you some words of wisdom to let you know you are not alone out there. And if you are experiencing some of this stuff, they're here to help you. And I specifically put this together to not only elevate the rock stars I have in front of me who are moving, shaking, making things happen, but I also want for those of you out there to know you could be doing this too. And tonight is no exception. I know I say this every week, but I am so super excited about my guest because I met her when she just had a vision for her company. And let me tell you, her backstory is quite incredible. So, welcome, Viviane Gontijo, and she is the CEO and founder of Vivilicious Chocolate. So excited to have you here.
I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be with you again. And I'm honored. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh no, I am just so glad you have come like full circle. But before we get into all the exciting stuff, tell people out there a little bit about your backstory and why are you an entrepreneur and took on the adventure of creating a chocolate company. So.
Yeah, yeah. When I look back, it's hard to believe that I got where I am now. I grew up hearing that cooking and baking was not something that I should pursue, and I ended up being in academia, and I have two master's degree and a PhD in applied linguistics. I was teaching and coordinating a Portuguese language program at Harvard for
Yeah.
about a decade. So being in at public universities and then at private university, you get in that bubble and you think that that's what it is. But I managed to always have some of my treats in my classroom for my students, and they would fight for it all the time. They would be like, "That's mine," and that is when I actually wrote down Vivilicious in the back of my recipe book, and I said, "I'm gonna be doing this. I have a business right here. I think that people will buy this." And yeah, so that's when I, during the pandemic, like just for many people, I was working from home and I start seriously testing the recipes, and start a little research, sending out some samples, and that's when I met you. I had just sent out samples, right? And I had an idea. I had like an amazing menu of like 25, 21, 25 flavors.
I
And you
know.
said, listen, and it's interesting because I had also an idea for another business. I don't know if you remember, and I still have the website. I had this idea for this business on language acquisition, which was like related to my PhD research, and you said no, one at a time.
Right, you wanted to do both, and I'm like, no,
Two
you have to go.
businesses.
Yes,
Yeah,
get to it.
so to
And
me, I mean, yeah, and then I had this amazing menu, but then you're like, how can you think you're going to manage all this? So that was the first thing, and you helped me a lot with kind of changing the vision but making it like doable and possible to start doing it by myself. And yeah, and I took your course and it changed the whole perspective, it changed the whole plan for better, and it's working.
I'm so thrilled. So,
Yeah.
tell me what has been the hardest part, though, of being an entrepreneur? Because, I mean, you went from academia, which from a very prestigious university, you're living the big job and a lot of, you know, respect, and
Mhm.
now you've jumped out on your own. So, what was the hardest transition with that?
It's interesting because I think there are a lot, the learning curve is very steep. And I, when I was like publishing textbooks, publishing books, and peer reviewed articles, I never thought there was something more difficult than that. And
Oh,
actually make, because I have a very simplistic view. I was like, okay, making and selling my delicious chocolates. That's it. But there's a whole world behind it. There's just so much more than putting them in the little boxes, you know.
yeah.
It's just like so much more work. So I think the most difficult part is kind of wearing all the hats,
Yeah.
being organized, and being good at writing goals. I think one of the biggest challenges to me is to write goals that I can actually achieve
Yes.
and not get
Yes.
frustrated. So I think that's a big one. And something else that it seems like simple, but for instance, you mentioned something about the university. When I was at the other universities also, as soon as I sent an email and I tried to reach out to collaborate with some researcher or this and that, they would get back to me like in 24 hours. The business world is so different. So it's like finding the balance between reaching out back, trying to establish that contact, and actually not be chasing people. So that
Right.
balance is really hard. And I think that's something that you helped me somehow because of the language of the newsletters and how you edit and how you work, communicating with people. So I think
Yeah.
those are the two big challenges. I think, like, not get frustrated, not take it personal when people don't respond to you, because they won't.
Right.
You need to keep trying, right? And be organized with your goals, and this is hard
Well,
also.
you got to accept that it's hard. I mean, it's the hardest thing you will ever do, and it is on you. And I love how you took the risk. You totally believed in yourself. You totally believed in your product. You didn't know all the things, and you did seek guidance, and I love how you implemented. And I think that we can gain all the knowledge in the world, but you actually went out and did it. And I remember when you launched, which was only like, I think you're coming up on 3 years, aren't you, in September?
I'm celebrating the second now, from launching this September 2nd.
Oh my gosh, is it only 2 years and you've had so
Few
much
years.
success? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we gotta dive into this because you're kind of living the American dream, Vivian. All right. So somebody who takes the risk, working their tail off, and just in 2 short years, you were telling me you have 4 employees now, right? How
Yes.
many retail stores now are you in?
8.
Unbelievable. And so are you shipping throughout the entire world
I
or
am,
just the
yeah, I'm
country?
shipping. I have clients in UK and Brazil and Ecuador, and I'm shipping all over the US as well.
Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, that's quite incredible. Okay, so we talked about challenges. I want to know what you love most about being an entrepreneur.
I think the biggest I mean, can I talk a little bit about the production, like making something?
Yeah.
Because I think that the other idea that I had for business was like service, and this is making something from scratch. So buying the materials, creating the recipes, making sure that you have all the SOPs in place, dealing with all the state regulations. It's food.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure you have something premium with no preservative, like super clean, short shelf life. Those are the biggest challenges, I feel like,
Oh,
putting the whole
totally.
product together, and then the packaging. Buy all the make, design the package, buy the package, the labels. I mean, it's just like a whole world. So I think that I would say that's the biggest challenge, like to,
Yeah.
and I, because when you're making 100, it's one thing, but I'm now making like 5,000 pieces.
Oh my goodness.
Some shows that I go to, like the Chocolate Expo, and now to stock the stores, some weeks I have to do about 2,000, 3,000 pieces, and some weeks I'll do 5,000 pieces.
You
So
know,
it's a lot.
you could not have picked a more complicated business. I remember when I started my first company, it was manufacturing. 100% had to do exactly what you're doing. So I can totally relate. And I would say to myself, I would never start another manufacturing company because yours is so complicated. There's so many moving parts. And I am not saying that other businesses are not hard, but it's very different when you're producing a product and you have to manage all the goods and everything you're doing. And that's another thing that impresses me so much with what you're doing. And you mentioned a store. Do you have a storefront now?
Not yet. I am now. I actually now at the Hive. The Hive is it's an amazing initiative. We got together 9 women, business owned like by women, and we put together this collective. So we all have to be part of it. So we manage the store, we work here, we take care of everything, and we share the space. So it's a beautiful idea, and it's working so well because it's an upscale neighborhood. So so it's a great opportunity to kind of like, I heard, I think you said this to me. So you got to walk before you run. And we talked a
Yeah.
lot about storefront because initially I thought about e-commerce. I'm going to just sell online. But I learned throughout the way that people don't want to pay for shipping. They would rather buy 2 boxes of chocolate and not pay for shipping.
Oh,
So
free shipping. It's so amazing to me that psychologically they will pay more for a product than if they had just paid for the shipping and the original price. But somehow it's psychological, and you learned that. And I'm just loving how you're almost like bonded with a co-op. You know what I mean? You
yeah.
actually are working with other business owners and have come together. I just think that is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Kudos to you. And for everybody out there, listen to what Vivian is saying right now, because I think you are great at identifying opportunities, and saying, okay, let's do this. Let's see how this works. And if it doesn't, you'll just pivot and go somewhere
Yeah.
else. But you are producing a lot of product. Now, does it get easier producing more, higher volume?
So I cannot forget to say that my husband is a scientist. So he's a chemist, and he is just so much used to lab, environment, and he helps me a lot with scaling the production and creating means to do like, so I have implemented ways that I do like different flavors for different days. So I have a production schedule that is it's facilitated, it's making it easy for me to produce more. But
Okay.
as I implemented, as I created different products, it's taking me away from my time in the kitchen because I'm excited to sell more. So that's when I hired, because in training someone to do part of the production, where because I sell, nobody sells as well as I do. I think I'm the
Nope.
best. I'm the best person to sell. So I
Yeah.
like to go to places, and with the stores, if I can give a piece of advice, like instead of going full force and getting a super huge overhead, so many expenses, when you partner with other people, you're learning from other people, and you're establishing relationships. So with the stores, I have relationships. I go there, I do the promotion, I do the sampling, I meet customers, and that's when you start you building your following and meeting people, and people put your face to the product. And it's funny because remember, I didn't want my face anywhere.
Your face is going on your website. They need to authentically, connect with you, see who you are. Remember, you had this backstory that was all very scientific and
Yeah.
academia. And I said, no, we're throwing that out. Everybody out there, go for the personal story, because
Yeah.
yours is so amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And, everybody out there, I want you to listen to what Vivian just said, if you haven't picked it up, because I do think this is something entrepreneurs don't like to do. We kind of sometimes hide behind the digital and try and get organic growth through, a computer, through, a social media. But what you're doing is you are out client facing, customer facing. And sales is not a dirty word out there. You are providing delicious treats that people have never been exposed to.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't bring it to their attention, they may never find it. And so I think this is so important. Nobody sells your product better than the one who creates it,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. I think that gotta be out there. I don't think you can hire anyone who would sell better than you do.
Nope.
Like my
No.
husband sells well, but I've hired people to work at shows for me, And if you look at the report, it's unreal. And
Yeah.
not that they're not trying, they're trying hard, and they're people that I trust. It's just that you, the love comes across when you're talking about what you do and how you do and why you do it,
Right.
right?
Right. It's the passion that comes out of you.
Yep,
And so people need to
exactly.
get out in front of their customers,
Yep,
whether they're doing a product and need to have a sample, but even if you're a coach or, you're doing courses or, you need to be out there networking and being part
yep.
of a community. And so I just love this. So if somebody is deciding that they want to be an entrepreneur and take on this this incredible journey, how would you suggest they start this process?
I think that, well, that's a difficult question, Maury. I was not expecting that hard one. Um, I think that you should ask yourself if it's a hobby or if it's a real, there is a real potential for that to be a business. I think that's the biggest thing. Because in my case, like enjoying baking for my family and baking for my students, I mean, there was a conflict of interest there. They love me, they like me. They many times they will really tell me the truth, right? So when I decided to put myself out there and send out samples to people that I didn't know, that's huge. So I think it's like do a reality check, like write a list and make sure that you are being honest with yourself. Is this really something that I would buy and why I would buy this?
Oh my
And
gosh.
don't make
That
it like it's not a, if it's a hobby, leave it as a hobby, because if you try to transform a hobby into a business without realistic expectations, it's not going to work. That's what I think. I don't know.
Oh
You
no, it's some of the best advice. Absolutely. And I say it's okay to have a hobby, but a lot of people go in this because they want to make an impact and be able to make an income doing it, right? Nobody wants to work this hard and not be able to live a lifestyle that allows you to have your passion. So you're talking about due diligence. You're saying to people out there, do the homework ahead of time to see if there is a need for this. If your pricing is set up that you can actually make money on this, and if not, keep your day job,
yep.
right? I mean, but you're right, a lot of people are not realistic. A lot of people are dreamers and they don't realize that a dream is good, but it's not a strategy, it's not a
Yeah.
business. So that is fabulous advice out there, and I think if more people listen to it, we would probably not have the rate of businesses that go out of business. I mean, 2,739 businesses went out yesterday, today, and will tomorrow. The numbers, and those are brand new companies, the numbers are staggering. And I think what you just said is really decide if this is something that can really make it or not.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
advice.
And I think if I can add something, don't be afraid that to look at the numbers, because I suffer so much. Like I didn't want to look at the numbers. I I was avoiding the math, the statistics, all the analysis of it, and I was like, no, no, you have to be realistic here. You got to look at the numbers, break this down, make sure you are making money. It doesn't make sense if you're not making money,
Right.
because when you love something so much, like I enjoy so much making the chocolates, sometimes like, okay, I can just make, no, you got to make money, otherwise it's not a business. So that's
Well,
a
you
big
want to
thing.
make an impact. You do want to make an impact. You have an incredible product that people need to have, right? Like this,
Yeah,
they need this. And so if you don't have income coming in, you're not going to be able to give them this amazing product. You're not going to be
exactly.
able to make the impact or make the difference out there. So I always say to people, make the impact, but make sure you can make an income to continue serving, the people who are out there. Um,
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I don't know if I've made myself understood, but it's like it's not all about the money. But the thing is, like with people with my personality, because being in education, you are a giver. You want to please people. You want to help people. you want to educate. And it's already something that it's more like, oh, I'm doing it for the beauty of educating. So I come from this background, and then you come from a background like this into business, you cannot just like, sometimes I have to stop myself, like, why are you giving out so many samples? So like, I think it's more like about watching where you're putting your money, how analyze it, not neglect the financial portion of the business.
Yeah.
It can be a hobby that you love and you're also making money, but you need to be watching the finances, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh. When I first met you, I have to say, your confidence and the way you light up about your company just warms my heart, Vivian. Because when I first met you, I mean, when you're starting, there is a lot of self doubt. There's this fear that there's this, oh my gosh, I am overwhelmed. How am I going to do this? And now I see you are like a rock star business person. Like you are looking at your business and you're looking at it from a real strategic perspective, very strategic, and kudos to you for doing that. But you know what, you've got a really hard business here, so you know that you have to do this. So, as far as where you want to take this company, I've been watching you, and in 2 years, you have scaled a lot. You've added new products besides just your truffles. Can you tell me, how you scaled into that? What the impetus of that for that was?
Yeah. So the first thing I came up with after the truffles, the necessity is the mother of invention. I realized that the business was too seasonal, and I couldn't be doing something that is seasonal, that I will be idle for the whole summer, right? And the summer, the chocolates melt, and I was like, how am I gonna do? And and my mom was here, and she's super creative, and she said, remember those cakes that you used to make for us? I think this truffles on those cakes were gonna be perfect. And I was like, truffle cakes. So
Oh,
instead of
wow.
so the chocolates, so instead of letting the chocolates melt, I was melting the chocolate and making the truffle cakes.
I
And
love
if you
invention.
watch the videos of people eating the cake, it's unreal. It's so rewarding to me. So I scaled to the truffle cakes, something that I can sell to coffee shops, to tea shops. I can sell in the summer. I sell it to caterers, like event planners, because it makes for a beautiful little dessert, small dessert for like weddings and so on. So that's when the truffle cake came.
Oh, you know what I love about this? All
Uh,
right, this is true entrepreneurship. You saw a problem, right? You're like, wow, I can't do this, but what can I do? And that's where it's like you recognize the gap and then you capitalize on an opportunity. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They see opportunities out there and they go for it, or they create opportunities. That's what you did for your business, was create an opportunity. This is like so brilliant. You're like my case study. All right, everybody out there, here's my case study of how to do it right, because you wouldn't really be able to grow the way you are growing if you didn't implement another product out there. And so you were very inventive here. All right, so that was the second product, which came out of necessity. So let's call it what it was. Because remember, I said don't start adding new channels of distribution or new products until you really nail the truffles. But this had to be done, or else your business would not flourish, right? But then I also saw that you came out with hot chocolate. Tell me how
yeah.
that came about.
So that's yeah. I love coffee and I love drinks like coffee, tea, and hot chocolate. And I always made my own hot chocolate. And the major characteristics of my truffle is that they are not sugary, right? They're light and they're not sugary. And I said I gotta come up with some hot chocolate drink that it's not sweet, like sickening sweet. So I said, I have these beautiful chocolates from 4 places in the world, and I'm gonna mix and match, and I'm gonna make the perfect chocolate drink. And there we go. So, but it was also a necessity because what happened with the truffles, like everything is hand rolled. I use the French technique, and there are a lot of sometimes a lot of the drippings of the chocolate that I was like making drinks for my husband. So I was like, I have all these drippings that I
Right.
need to collect, you know, and they are perfect. They're amazing. Just that chocolate that I'm drinking it. My husband is drinking it. I think everybody's gonna love to drink this. So I make the chocolate, but I now implemented. So it looks like this.
Put it in front. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. That looks great. Very nice.
And now I'm with the chocolate drinks. I'm making events. So I have a event now that I'm gonna teach 5 recipes on how to use the Vivilicious chocolate mix in your recipes. So it's not gonna be only for hot chocolate, but I'm using for affogato, for different types of recipes. And there we go.
That's another
It's super
scaling
versatile.
opportunity. Another scaling, and it reminds me of another client I had years ago, Afro Meals. And she came out just with spices, and now she has huge cooking classes in which she incorporates her product, right? They got to buy the product in
Yep.
order to have that cooking class. It's a brilliant, brilliant business model. Love
It
it.
is. It is. And the partner, like partnering with other people. Like I have my first partnership is with a tea shop, and this lady, she blends her own organic teas, and it's phenomenal. So I made a whole collection of truffles infused with her teas. So I have a tea luxe collection, and we put together like a tea and truffle classes. So we teach pairings of chocolate and teas, and we just like branching out to some, new flavors, new pairings, and small desserts for like high-end restaurants.
Oh,
So it's just like I said in the beginning, I think that finding the right people, because being like in business can be sometimes a little lonely, but if you find the right people to partner to,
yeah.
the right group of like to network, it makes it better. It makes a
I
little
think
easier.
you're right. Yeah, a community of other entrepreneurs who understand the journey and understand what you're going through and can partner just emotionally and, personally and share experiences and share problems. Community is just so incredibly
Yeah.
important. I say that to entrepreneurs. So, your product is phenomenal. I want you to tell everybody out there how they can get this product because I will tell you, it is amazing. I'm so
Thank
incredibly
you.
proud of you. In fact, we could have another like hours conversation. And so, but I
Thank
want
you.
people to know how, with all the, oh my gosh, with what you have done with this, tell people how they can get your product.
So they can get online at viviliciouschocolates.com. So we
Is
ship
that
all over the country.
okay? So you want them directly to go to your
Go
website,
to
look at all the different flavors.
uh-huh.
Okay. And so they can get the cakes, they can get the hot chocolate, they can get all of it.
They can have yeah, and the turtles.
I know, I saw those. And turtles are like my favorite
And the
thing in the
turtles,
world.
the turtles are also solving another problem. But anyway, the turtles are huge. It's probably now after the truffles, for people who love nuts. It's That's it. People love it.
Yep, that's my thing right there. I'm an
Yeah, they
addict
can
for
get the
those.
turtles too. And
Yeah.
so viviliciouschocolates.com, and we ship all over. It's not pre-made, so we'll make when you order. And you can actually schedule a shipping. So if you have a birthday in September, you want to buy now, you can schedule when you want to receive it. And there's an option to build your collection. So you can also pick your flavors and build your own collection.
Love it. Love it. All right. So I know that you'll be coming back because I'm sure when you
I
do,
will.
you'll be letting us know another thing that is adding to this company and scaling and growing. And like I said, in just 2 years to have this type of success And for those of you out there, if you're just tuning in, or you're the amount of information that has been shared tonight, you've got to watch the replay. For those of you just coming in, my goodness, I hope that you have enjoyed this conversation, because it's been incredible. All
I
right,
will.
everybody. So you will be coming back, Vivian, right?
I will. And can I say one last thing?
Yeah.
I heard from you. It's 95% your mindset and 5% is strategy. So you can change. There are many things you cannot change, but you can change your attitude, the way you perceive things, and keep faith. It's working.
That's the last word, everybody. And that's probably the best inspiration out there. So mindset is everything. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Like I said, this was a rock star coming to you tonight with a rock star conversation. This is the American dream, and this is what entrepreneurship is all about. So walk the journey, stay focused. If you need help right now, it's not going well. Converting customers is just not happening, and you keep spinning your wheels. You got to give me a call. Let's get you back on track. Or if you just are starting the way Vivian did, she did everything right. She checked off the boxes, and you can see how things have turned out. So for everybody who's tuned in, thank you so much. And we will be back next week. Have a wonderful 4th of July, and we will see you then. Good night, everybody. And thanks again, Vivian.
Thank you so much. Good night.